There comes a moment in every creator's journey where fear grips the heart. You have felt the calling, the deep knowing that you are meant to build something. Create something. Step into something greater than yourself. But every time you try to move forward, something stops you. It's that whisper in the back of your mind. What if I fail? What if I am not good enough? What if no one cares about what I am going to say? You stand before the opportunity, much like David stood before Goliath. The battlefield is in front of you, and yet there's a giant in the way. Fear, self-doubt, and comparison loom over you, making your calling feel impossible to reach. You know you are meant to lead, to create, to bring value to the world, yet every step forward feels like a battle against the voices telling you you are not ready. You are not qualified. You don't belong here. If David had let his brother's words stop him, he never would have stepped onto the battlefield. David's first taste of recognition comes in the most unexpected way, not as a king, but as a servant. He is called to play music for King Saul. If your content isn't getting the recognition you hope for, don't let it discourage. Instead, let it be your fuel. Keep sharpening your skills. Keep showing up. And when the right moment comes, you will be ready to strike. Instead of fixating on what you don't have, focus on becoming the kind of creator who is ready when the door opens. Pause, look back, see the progress. You know, we are always chasing for more, never feeling enough. Creators often struggle with, I haven't done enough. Your content will outlive you. David lived 3,000 years ago and we are still reading his Psalms. What if your videos, your voice, your message will do the same? This is how to create a legacy, not just content. How will your content impact the next generation? David's story still inspires today. How will your work influence others in the future? This is where we look at the topic, leaving a digital legacy. Know how your content is going to impact. As a content creator, every post, video, or message you share becomes part of your digital footprint. But have you ever stopped to think, not just about the impact you are making today, but about the legacy you are leaving behind? David lived thousands of years ago, yet his story continues to shape leaders, inspire faith, and give decision-making. Why? Because he didn't just chase success, he pursued purpose. Now ask yourself, what kind of impact will your content have 5, 10, or even 15 years from now? Will it still hold value or will it be forgotten? That is why creating for the moment instead of the future is not the rest, the best. In today's fast-paced digital world, it's tempting to focus on what is trending right now. You see creators hopping on the latest challenges, copying viral formats, and crafting content designed to blow up big. And while that might bring a quick spike in views, it really builds a sustainable audience. What happens when the trend dies out? What happens when the algorithm shifts? Will your content still matter in a year or even in a month? If your content strategy is built entirely on riding trends, your growth will always depend on chasing the next big thing, and that's exhausting. Create content with timeless value instead of trending value. Instead of just asking, what will get clicks today? Start asking, what will still matter more? How can my content help, inspire, or educate someone years from now? This is the power of evergreen content. Videos, posts, and stories that remain relevant long after they are published. They are timeless content. Content that outlives the algorithm. Deep storytelling. People remember stories, not just trends. Share real experiences, lessons, and insights that resonate beyond the moment. Practical how-to guides. Whether it's filmmaking tips, faith-based encouragement, or business strategies, tutorials, and advice remain valuable long after trends fade. Inspirational and motivational content. Encouragement never goes out of style. People will always seek wisdom, faith, and motivation to keep going. You unique perspective. Instead of copying what is trending, share your take on a topic. Trends may fade, but fresh insights stand the test of time. Make work that outlives the algorithm. Trends can boost visibility, but timeless content builds legacy. The best creators don't chase trends. They create work that keeps people coming back year after year. Look at your content strategy today. What's one piece of content you can create that will provide value 5 years from now? Drop your idea in the comments. Fear that your work doesn't matter? It's easy to feel like your content isn't making a real impact, especially when you are not seeing massive engagement. You might wonder, is anyone really watching? Will my voice ever reach beyond this small circle? Remember that legacy starts small. David was just a shepherd boy when he was anointed king. He had no throne, no army, no influence, just a calling, but he was faithful with what he had, and his impact grew over time. Your content doesn't have to go viral to change lives. Even if one person is inspired, motivated, or transformed by your work, that ripple effect can spread for generations. Keep creating with purpose, even when it feels small. Fear that your work doesn't matter? It's one of the most discouraging feelings as a creator. Putting in hours of work, crafting meaningful content, and then silence. Your video barely gets views. Your post doesn't get engagement. You start wondering, is anyone even watching? Is my work making a difference? In a world where viral moments dominate, it's easy to equate value with visibility. If your content isn't blowing up, it can feel like it doesn't matter, but that's a dangerous mindset that kills consistency and purpose. Remember that legacy starts small. David wasn't crowned king the moment he was anointed. He went back to tending sheep, faithful in a season that seemed insignificant. He could have thought, why doesn't this matter? No one sees this. This isn't the palace I was promised. But what he didn't realize was that those unseen years were preparation. The skills he learned in the field, protecting sheep, using the sling, staying patient, were the same skills that later positioned him to defeat Goliath and lead a nation. The content journey no different. Why small impact still matters. One person inspired to have a ripple effect. You may never see how your work impacts someone, but one video, post, or message can change a life. The right audience equals a large audience. Would you rather have 1,000 disengaged viewers or 100 deeply invested followers? Depth matters more than numbers. Small beginnings lead to greater opinion. If you stay consistent, doors will open. Just like David's faithfulness led him to the palace. Look, a creator who almost quit. There is a YouTuber who uploaded 100 videos before one took off. For months, he got single digits views. But then, one person shared his video. It reached a right audience. His channel started growing. Looking back, he said, if I had given up at video 99, I would have never seen what was coming. This is why we keep creating, even when no one's watching. Keep showing up. Your impact isn't measured in numbers. It's measured faithfully. Your work matters. Your audience will grow. Your voice will reach beyond where you are now. Comment below. What's that one piece of content you have hesitated to share because you felt it wouldn't matter? Post it this week. Content creators always have the struggle between fame and meaningful impact. Now, many creators get caught up in the trap of making content for attention instead of for transformation. But fame fades and real influence lasts. Focus on impact over popularity. David didn't seek the spotlight. He served with wisdom and courage. And because of that, his influence endured. As a creator, your digital legacy isn't about how many followers you have. It's about how many lives you touch. Will your content uplift others, teach valuable lessons, or lead people toward growth? Prioritize depth over reach. The most impactful work often starts with authenticity, truth, and willingness to serve. What will your legacy be? One day, people will look back at your content. What will they remember? Will they see someone who simply followed trends, or someone who led with vision? Will your words and videos still carry meaning, or will they be forgotten? David's story is still shaping lives today. Your work has the power to do the same. Create with intention, not attention. Lead with purpose. They told me I would never make it. No likes, no support, just silence and doubt. But David didn't need applause to kill Goliath, and neither do you. This is how faith-driven creators silence the haters and keep building. Leading with integrity. This is a secret to a long-term influence. Remember, quick success fades, but integrity builds a lasting legacy. In a world where shortcuts, clickbait, and viral gimmicks seem to promise overnight success, it's easy to feel pressured to do whatever it takes to grow. But the truth is, quick success fades, while integrity builds a lasting legacy. A leader tested by integrity, David, had multiple chances to take shortcuts. He could have killed Saul and taken the throne by force, but he refused. Why? Because his leadership wasn't about power. power. It was about purpose. He knew that the right opportunity at the wrong time is still the wrong move. Instead of forcing his way to success, he waited on God's timing and stayed true to his values. As a content creator, the same principles apply. Integrity isn't just about honesty. It's about consistency, trust, and staying true to your mission, even when the fast track looks tempting. The pressure to cut corners. Many creators feel the pressure to exaggerate, copy others, or use manipulative tactics to gain traction. Whether it's buying followers, using misleading titles, or chasing controversy, the temptation is real. Build a brand people trust. Trust takes years to build and seconds to destroy. Instead of seeking quick attention, focus on long-term credibility. Be the creator people can count on for honesty, authenticity, and real value. Your audience will respect you for it, and they'll keep coming back. Sometimes we do all these things because we have fear of being left behind. It's easy to look at other creators exploding in growth and think, maybe I should do what they are doing, even if it doesn't align with my values. Stay true to your unique path. David didn't try to be Saul, he led his way. In the same way, your authenticity is your advantage. Your audience doesn't need another copy of what's already out there. They need you. Fear of being left behind. It's easy to look at other content creators exploding in growth and think, maybe I should do what they are doing, even if it doesn't align with my values. Why not stay true to your unique path? David didn't try to be Saul, he led his way. In the same way, your authenticity is your advantage. Your audience doesn't need another copy of what's already out there. They need you. Until I come your way again, why not grab your phone, grab a camera, go out there and create something authentic today. If you're trying to grow by being perfect, you are doing it wrong. People don't follow perfection, they follow what is real. David's power wasn't in performance, it was in honesty. This is why your real story builds more trust than your highlight reel. The power of authenticity. How to build trust through realness. David was real with God. He was real in his Psalms. Honesty in your content makes people connect with you. Have you ever felt pressure to be more than you are online? More polished, more exciting, more perfect. In a digital world filled with filters, created feeds, and staged moments, it's tempting to believe that success comes from presenting an idealized version of yourself. That to grow, you have to be flawless. But here is the truth. People don't connect with perfection, they connect with authenticity. David's authenticity, a real leader who was real, a leader who was real. Think about David. He wasn't perfect, far from it. He made mistakes, he had doubts, and even faced rejection. But what set him apart was his willingness to be real with God, with his people, and even with himself. When he was afraid, he cried out to God. When he was joyful, he danced without shame. When he messed up, he owned his failures and sought forgiveness. And because of that, people trusted him. They followed him, not because he was without flaws, but because he was genuine. The same applies to you as a content creator. People don't need you to be perfect. They need you to be real. You always fear of being judged. You're always afraid of being judged. One of the biggest fears creators face is, what will people think if I show the real me? We don't embrace our uniqueness. Look, the right audience will connect with you, your quirks, your struggles, and your journey. Share your experiences honestly. Let people see the process, not just the finished product. Your imperfections aren't a weakness. They make you relatable. Don't try to fit in. It's easy to fall into the trap of copying what's trending, thinking what's the only way to grow, thinking that's the only way to grow. But when you try to be like everyone else, you lose what makes you different. Be original. David didn't wear Saul's armor when he faced Goliath. He didn't fit him. Instead, he used what worked for him, a sling and stones. You need to find your voice. Share your perspective. Your originality is your superpower. You're feeling like you have to be on top all the time. The pressure to always be energetic, happy, or inspiring can be exhausting, but no one is always at their best. Trust me. Let your humanity show through your work. If you're having a tough day, it's okay to say so. If you are learning something new, share the journey. If something doesn't go as planned, be honest about it. People don't just want content from you, they want connection. And connection comes from being human. Trust is built through realness. Authenticity isn't just a strategy, it's a foundation of lasting impact. People can spot a fake content creator, but when you show up as true yourself, they will trust you, respect you, and stay with you for the long haul. So stop trying to be what you think people want. Be you. That's where the real influence begins. So as a content creator, do not wear other person's armor. Be yourself. Be your real self in your creation. Until I come your way again, why not grab your phone, grab your camera, and go out there and create something that represents you in your creation. I posted content I prayed over and no one showed up. 12 views, 1 like, a heart full of doubt. Now what if rejection isn't a sign to quit? It's a setup for your calling. Your calling is bigger than your fear. God will open doors in His time. Have you ever felt like your work isn't making an impact? You put in the time, the effort, the late nights, but it feels like no one notices. You wonder if you are wasting your time, if your gifts even matter, or if you ever get the opportunities you have been hoping for. Maybe you have watched others rise while you feel stuck. Maybe doors you thought would open remain closed. Maybe doubt creeps in, whispering, maybe I am not as gifted as I thought, or maybe I will never get my big break. If that's you, then let me remind you of a promise from God. A man's gift makes room for him and brings him before great men. Your gifts, your talents, and the work you are faithfully doing are not going unnoticed by God. He has given you something unique, something valuable, something meant to impact others. And if you remain faithful, He will make room for you in the right time and in the right place. Just like David. Before David became king, before he stood before Goliath, before he was celebrated, he was just a shepherd, using his gifts in obscurity. But even in the hidden place, his gift was making room for him, and so is yours. Your job is not to force doors open. Your job is to be faithful. God will take care of the rest. Are you feeling invisible? Does your work even matter? That's a question you ask. One of the hardest struggles for any creator, leader, or entrepreneur is a feeling of being invisible. You pour everything into your work, yet the results don't seem to match your effort. You wonder if it's all for nothing. David understood this feeling. He was anointed as king, but instead of stepping into royalty, he went back to tending sheep. Day after day, he showed up to the field with no audience, no applause, no recognition. But here is what David didn't know. His faithfulness in the field was setting him up for his future. Because when King Saul needed someone to play music for him, David's name was mentioned. Not because he promoted himself, but because his gift had already spoken for him. And when Goliath appeared, David didn't suddenly become brave or skilled. He had been preparing all along in the unseen place. Your work is making an impact, even if you can't see it yet. The seeds you are planting today will bear fruit in time if you don't give up. Think of one way you have grown since you started using your gift. Drop it in the comment section and remind yourself that progress is happening. Keep doubting if you are good enough. Another reason people struggle to trust God's time is self-doubt. You see others succeeding and you think, maybe they are just more talented. Maybe I am not really called to this. Maybe I'll never be good enough. But here is what you need to know. Your gifts is from God and He doesn't make mistakes. David wasn't chosen because he was the strongest or most qualified. In fact, when the prophet Samuel came to anoint Israel's next king, David's own family didn't even invite him to the lineup. They assumed he wasn't the one, but God saw what no one else did. Man looks at outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. David wasn't overlooked by God, and neither are you. The gifts inside of you are not there by accident. You were created with a purpose, and that purpose will unfold in God's perfect timing, not yours. Your job is to develop your gift. Keep showing up and trust that the right doors will open at the right time. My dear, what's one fear or doubt that has been holding you back from fully using your gift? Drop it in the comment section. And today, choose to trust God with it. Struggling with delayed opportunities. Perhaps the hardest part of trusting God's plan is waiting for doors to open. You feel like you have done the work, stayed faithful, and yet nothing seems to be moving forward. David must have felt this too. He was anointed king as a teenager, but he didn't actually become king for years. Instead, he spent time serving Saul, running for his life and waiting, even though he knew he was called. But what David didn't know was that God was using that season to prepare him. Every challenge he faced, every battle, every rejection, every moment in hiding was shaping him into the king he was meant to be. And that's what's happening to you. Your waiting season is not a wasted season. God is developing the strength, wisdom, and character you will need when your time comes. If success comes too soon, it can destroy you. But when you allow God to grow in you in the hidden places, you'll be ready for the opportunities He brings. Instead of focusing on what hasn't happened yet, comment one lesson God has been teaching you in this season. God will open the right doors at the right time. David didn't chase after opportunities. His gifts made room for him. And yours will come too. You don't have to force your way into places God has already prepared for you. Your only job is to remain faithful, to keep sharpening your skill, your gifts, and trust that He's working behind the scenes. Your time will come. The doors will open. The opportunities will appear. And when they do, you will be ready because you didn't rush the process. What's one step you are going to take this week to stay faithful in using your gifts? Drop it in the comment section and commit to trusting God's timing. If this message encouraged you, hit that like button, subscribe for more faith-driven inspiration, and share this with someone who needs to hear it today. Until I come your way again, why not grab your camera, grab your phone, and go out there and create something awesome today. No one saw David in a cave, but that's where his legacy was born. If you feel hidden, forgotten, or burned out, this is the season of becoming. This video is a survival guide for when creativity feels like silence. Welcome once again to our channel. Today we're going to look at creating in a cave, how to stay inspired in hard seasons. You know, David wrote Psalms in exile. What's your cave? What's a cave season teaching you? David wrote Psalms in exile. What's your cave season teaching you? Imagine this. You have a vision, a dream, a calling. You step out with excitement, expecting momentum, but instead you hit resistance. Your content doesn't take off. Your creativity feels drained. You feel invisible. At that moment, you are faced with a choice. Give up and assume success wasn't meant for you. Push through and create anyway, even in the struggle. David faced this exact moment when he found himself in the cave of Adullam, hiding, waiting, uncertain about his future. And yet, in that cave, he wrote some of the most powerful psalms that still inspire millions today. What if your cave season isn't about being forgotten, but about being formed? Your cave is a refining place, not a wasting place. When David fled from Saul, he was already anointed as king. Yet instead of stepping into the palace, he found himself in a cold, dark, and lonely cave. It could have been easy to assume that the cave was a detour, a delay in his destiny. But what if the cave wasn't blocking his purpose? What if it was building him for it? In the cave, David learned leadership by gathering misfits and turning them into warriors. In the cave, David developed endurance that would prepare him for the throne. In the cave, David proved that he was faithful even when no one was watching. The cave isn't a punishment, it's preparation. You look at Oprah Winfrey's early career rejection. Today, Oprah Winfrey is one of the most influential women in the world. But before that, she was a young news anchor who got fired. Her bosses told her she wasn't good enough for TV. She was sent to a small talk show as a last chance role. She could have quit, believing her dream was over. Instead, that talk show, AM Chicago, became the foundation for the Oprah Winfrey Show, one of the most successful TV programs in history. If she had seen her cave season as the end of the road, she would have never walked into her true purpose. Remember, your cave season is not a dead end. It's a training ground for what is coming. What is one skill, project, or habit you can build in this season to prepare for future success? Drop it in the comment section below. Create even when it's unseen. That's where breakthrough happens. David didn't stop writing psalms in a cave. He didn't wait until he felt successful or seen. He wrote when he was broken. He wrote when he was alone. He wrote even when he didn't know if anyone would ever read his words. And today, those same psalms written in a cave are read by millions around the world. Vincent van Gogh's 900 unseen paintings is now considered one of the greatest artists of all time. How did you know? He painted over 900 works of art in obscurity. He only sold one painting in his lifetime. He died never knowing that his work would change the world. Imagine if he had stopped painting just because no one was watching. If you only create when you feel seen, you will never build a body of work that leads to impact. What you create in obscurity will one day be valuable, but only if you keep creating. What's one piece of content, art, or work you have been holding back because you feel unseen? Share it this week. Remember, the cave doesn't last forever, but what you build there does. David's cave season wasn't permanent, but what he built there lasted for generations. He left the cave stronger, more refined, and ready to lead. Had he wasted that time, he would have never been ready for the throne. Let's look at Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs' Apple rejection and comeback. Steve Jobs, the co-founder of Apple, was fired from his own company in 1985. He could have given up. He could have believed Apple was the best thing he would ever create. He could have disappeared. Instead, in his cave season, he founded Nest and Pixar, two projects that changed technology and fame forever. Years later, when Apple was struggling, they brought Jobs back, and his leadership led Apple to become the most valuable company in the world. If he hadn't used his cave season wisely, he never would have changed history. Remember, your cave season will end, but what you do in it determines how you step into your next level. What's one way you can still actively use this season to develop your skills, mindset, or creativity? Comment below. Your cave season is not the end, it's the beginning. David's story teaches us that hard seasons can naturally be the most transformational times of our lives. The cave is refining you. It's not punishment, it's preparation. Create even when it's unseen. Your best work may come from a hidden season. The cave is temporary, but your work lasts forever. Use this time wisely and it will set you up for what's next. So the real question is, what will you create in your cave season? What's one action you will take today to create even in difficulty? Drop it in the comment section and commit to moving it forward. If this encouraged you, why not smash the like button, subscribe for more faith-driven inspiration content, and share this with someone who needs to hear it today. Until I come your way again, why not grab your phone, grab a camera, go out there and create something awesome today. I almost quit content creation because someone else was growing faster. Their views, their followers, their success, it crushed my confidence. But then I realized I was wearing someone else's armor. This is how I finally broke free from comparison and stepped into my calling. Stop comparing your beginning to someone else's success. You know, comparison is a silent thief that robs creators of their confidence, joy, and momentum. You start your creative journey filled with excitement, ready to step into your calling. You launch your YouTube channel, you write your first blog post, you post your first video, or share your first piece of art. But almost instantly, reality hits. You see someone else doing exactly what you do, only better. Their audience is bigger, their content looks more polished, and their growth seems effortless. You start to wonder, why am I even trying? I will never catch up. Maybe I am not meant for this at all. Comparison is one of the greatest thieves of purpose, and it's not new. David faced it too. When David was preparing to fight Goliath, King Saul, Israel's tallest and most experienced warrior, tried to give him his armor. It was impressive, expensive, and fit for battle. But when David put it on, he realized it didn't fit. I cannot go in these, he said, because I am not used to them. So he took it off. And instead of trying to be like Saul, David stepped onto the battlefield with what he already knew: his sling and 5 small stones. He didn't try to fight like someone else. He fought like himself. And because he did, he won. That's exactly what you need to do. Stop wearing someone else's armor. Stop measuring your success against someone else's timeline. You don't need to be them. You need to be you. No, the pressure to keep up with others is one of the biggest struggles creators face. And it's the constant pressure to measure up. You see others who started around the same time as you, and they seem to be growing faster. You begin questioning everything. What am I doing wrong? Should I change my style? Should I copy what's working for them? David had every reason to wear Saul's armor. It seemed logical. Saul was a king, a warrior, and someone David should have looked up to. But David understood something most people don't. Just because something works for someone else doesn't mean it's meant for you. Your process, your pace, and your path are uniquely designed for you. The moment you start chasing someone else's journey, you abandon your own. Comparison will make you rush when God is telling you to build. It will make you doubt your voice when God is calling you to use it. It will make you chase validation instead of obedience. But the truth is, there is no one else who can do what you do the way you do it. Think of one area where you have been feeling pressure to keep up with someone else's success. Drop it in the comment section. And today, release yourself from that pressure, thinking you need what others have to succeed. The next trap of comparison comparison is believing you need the same resources, skills, or advantages as others to succeed. You see someone with high quality production, a professional team, or years of experience, and you think, if only I had that, I would be successful too. David could have looked at Goliath's sword, shield, and armor and thought, there's no way I can win. I don't have what he has. He could have looked at Saul and thought, if I just had his training, his position, his resources, then I would be ready. But he didn't. Instead, David used what was already in his hands: a simple sling and 5 small stones. No expensive armor, no impressive weapons, just what he had already practiced with in the hidden places. And that's what made him victorious. Too often, creators wait until they have better tools before they start. They think they need the perfect camera, the perfect or best software, the perfect setup before they can make an impact. But the truth is, God has already given you everything you need to start. If all you have is a phone, use it. If all you have is your voice, speak. If all you have is your story, share it. Success doesn't come from having the best resources. It comes from making the most of what you already have. So, what's one excuse you have been using to delay starting? Drop it in the comment section. And today, commit to using what's already in your hands. Are you feeling like you are falling behind? Perhaps that's another discouraging part of comparison. No, feeling like you are behind. You look around and it seems like everyone else is advancing while you stuck. While you are stuck, you start to wonder if you are too late. David could have felt this way too. He wasn't a soldier. He wasn't part of the battle. He was just a shepherd bringing food to his brothers. But when the opportunity came, he was ready. If he had spent his time wishing he was already in the army, resenting the years he spent in the fields, or doubting his own abilities, he would have missed his moment. But instead, he trusted that God's timing was perfect. And so must you. You are not behind. You are not late. You are exactly where you need to be for what God is preparing you for. Every piece of content you create, every skill you develop, every lesson you learn in the unseen places is preparing you for your defining moment. So instead of focusing on what hasn't happened yet, comment one way you have already grown since you started your journey. Put it in the comment section below. You can't win while wearing someone else's armor. David defeated Goliath not because he had the best resources, the best training, or the best support, but because he was faithful to his own process. He refused to wear someone else's armor. He refused to fight someone else's battle. He refused to be anyone other than who God created him to be. And that's why he won. And now it's your turn. Stop comparing your beginning to someone else's success. Stop chasing someone else's path. Stop wishing you had what others have and start using what's already in your hands. Because the moment you embrace your own journey, your own gifts, and your own process, that's the moment you start winning. What's one way you are choosing to embrace your unique path today? Drop it in the comments section and commit to running your own race. If this message encouraged you, smash the like button, subscribe for more faith-driven inspiration, and share this with someone who needs to hear it today. Until I come your way again, why not grab your phone, grab your camera, go out there and create something awesome today. I haven't done enough. Told me I would never make it. No likes, no support, just silence and doubt. But David didn't need applause to kill Goliath, and neither do you. This is how faith-driven creators silence the haters and keep building. Welcome again to our channel. Today we're going to look at celebrating wins. Celebrating your small and big wins. Sometimes we need to sit down, pause, reflect on our journey so far. You need to take time to celebrate and give thanks to what we have been able to achieve so far. You have come further, come afar. Take time to celebrate, give thanks. In the fast-paced world of content creation, it's easy to focus on what's next milestone you want to achieve, the next big break. But how often do you stop and appreciate how far you have? David was anointed king as a young shepherd boy, but his journey to the throne wasn't immediate. There were battles, betrayal, and long sessions of waiting. Yet along the way, he celebrated the victory because he knew each step was part of God's greater plan. As a creator, you may feel like you are not where you want to be, but pause, look back, see the progress. We are always chasing for more, never feeling enough. Creators often struggle with, I haven't done enough. Maybe you have gained 500 followers, but you are focused on why it's not 5,000. Maybe you have posted 20 videos, but you are upset that none of them went viral. The pressure to do more can blind you from seeing how much you have already accomplished. So why not shift from comparison to celebration? David didn't wake up one day and instantly become king. He won battles one at a time. He grew in wisdom, strength, and leadership step by step. So take time to reflect. What skills have you developed since you started? Celebrate small wins, whether it's your first video, your first comment, or your first collaboration. Recognize progress, not just in numbers, but in the quality of your work, your confidence, and your consistency. If you only focus on what's ahead, you will miss the blessings of day. Celebrate each step, knowing God leading you forward. Now, when you feel like your work doesn't matter, this is another pain point. Sometimes you create content and it feels like no one notices. No viral moment, no overnight success. You start questioning, does it even matter? Is this making an impact? David didn't see the full impact of his leadership in one day, but every act of faithfulness, every decision, every battle, every prayer built a lasting legacy. So remember why you started instead of focusing on quick success. Look at the impact you have already made or the impact you're already making. Revisit your first place of content. Notice how much you have improved. Think about the people you have helped, even if it's just one comment, one message, one life change. Trust the process. Just because you don't see immediate results doesn't mean your work isn't planting seeds for something great. Your journey is bigger than numbers. God is using your gifts in ways you may not even realize. We forget to thank God for the journey. As creators, most of us, look, David was a warrior, a musician, a leader, but most importantly, he was a man after God's own heart. He didn't just celebrate himself, he gave glory to God for every victory. So why not make gratitude a habit? When you acknowledge God in your journey, you invite him into your future success. Take moments to thank him for creativity, opportunities, and even challenges that made you stronger. Write down your wins, big or small, and recognize how God has been guiding you. Use your platform to inspire others. Share your growth, your lessons, and your gratitude. David danced before the Lord in celebration, not because he had everything figured out, but because he knew God was with him every step. So as creators, success isn't just the destination, it's the journey. You may not be where you want to be, but you are not where you started. That's growth. And it's worth celebrating. Every step forward is a win. Every lesson learned is growth. Every moment of gratitude brings you closer to God's purpose. So today, pause, breathe, look back with gratitude, because when you thank God for what's already done, you will be even more prepared for what is about to. So until I come your way again, why not grab your phone, your camera, go out there and create content that will impact, content that will last. I almost quit content creation because someone else was growing faster. Their views, their followers, their success, it crushed my confidence. But then I realized I was wearing someone else's armor. This is how I finally broke free from comparison and stepped into my calling. You have got a vision. You've got the talent. You are ready to take the world by storm. So you start creating. You post your content, expecting momentum, expecting results, but the growth is slow. The audience isn't showing up as fast as you hope. The algorithm isn't favoring you. You begin to wonder, am I doing something wrong? Should I change direction? Why isn't this happening faster? This is a struggle of waiting. And if you have ever felt like you are stuck in a season of delay, you are not alone. Even the greatest leaders like King David face the same test. Anointed but not yet appointed. David was chosen at a young age, handpicked by God to be king. But instead of stepping into his destiny immediately, he went back turning shape. Days turned into months. Months turned into years. And the promise seemed distant. That's the first point of waiting. Feeling like nothing is happening. Maybe you have been creating consistently, but your content isn't taking off. Maybe you have put in the hours, but the results are barely trickling in. But look at David. His time in the field wasn't wasted. That's where he developed his strength, his courage, and his heart of worship. The battles he fought in secret, defending his flock from lions and bears, prepared him for the battles he would fight in public. And that's the lesson. Just because you don't see growth doesn't mean nothing is happening. Your season of preparation is just as important as your season of success. Instead of focusing on what hasn't happened yet, why not focus on sharpening your skills? Improve your storytelling. Upgrade your editing skills. Experiment with new formats. When the opportunity comes, you won't just be ready. You'll be unstoppable. Shift your focus from waiting to mastering. It's easy to get caught up in what hasn't happened yet. The subscribers that haven't come, the views that haven't skyrocketed, the breakthrough that still feels out of reach. But here's the truth. Opportunity doesn't come to those who wait. It comes to those who prepare. Instead of fixating on what you don't have, focus on becoming the kind of creator who is ready when the door opens. Sharpen your skills, because Growth is a daily grind. Imagine a chef dreaming of running a 5-star restaurant but never learn how to cook. Sounds ridiculous, right? But many content creators do the same thing. They want success but neglect the daily grind that leads to mastery. Improve your storytelling. Every great creator, from filmmakers to podcasters, succeeds because they know how to tell a compelling story. Study how to best engage their audience. Create emotional pull and keep people watching. Upgrade your editing, whether it's video, audio, or written content. Editing sets you apart. Tighten your pacing. Use effects strategically and refine your visuals so your content stands out. Experiment with new formats. Algorithm change, audience evolve. The creators who thrive are the ones willing to adapt and innovate. Try different styles, short form, long form, interactive content, or even live streams. Master these skills now, and when the right moment comes, you won't just be lucky, you will be unstoppable. Mastery happens in the shadows before anyone notices. Many believe success happens overnight, but the reality is that the most skilled creators spent years refining their craft when no one was watching. Remember Kobe Bryant? He practiced at 4 a.m. whilst others slept. Beyonce rehearsed 11 hours a day before Coachella. Steven Spielberg made amateur films long before Hollywood called. What if your current season isn't about visibility but about preparation? If you are discouraged by slow progress, remember, your private discipline determines your public success. When the opportunity comes, you will be unstoppable. The moment will come. The brand deal, a viral video, an unexpected opportunity that can change everything. And when it does, you won't have to scramble to get ready. You already know how to hook your audience. You already have the editing skills to make your content polished. You already have the discipline to sustain success. Success isn't something you wait for. It's something you build right now in the hidden moments. What one skill you will focus on improving this week? Drop it in the comment section and commit to that grind. The battle before the breakthrough. Then came the moment when David was finally seen, not as a king, but as a delivery boy. Now, his father sent him to bring food to his brothers on the battlefield. But while he was there, he saw Goliath, a giant standing in the way of Israel's victory. No one believed David was capable. No one thought he had what it took, but he stepped up anyway. Watching others succeed while you remain unseen. Maybe you have seen other creators blow up overnight while your content remains unnoticed. Maybe you have worked just hard, if not harder, but the results aren't coming. It's frustrating, very discouraging. It makes you wonder if you are even on the right path. But David didn't focus on who was ahead of him. He focused on what was in front of him. Instead of complaining, he used what he had. He didn't need a sword or armor, just a sling, a few stones, and faith in God's timing. And with that, he took down the giant. Stop comparing your journey to others. Your time will come, but it won't look like anyone else. Instead of focusing on their growth, focus on what God has placed in your hands. Use what you have now and trust that your breakthrough will come at the right time. Stop comparing. Your creative journey is uniquely yours. As a content creator, it's easy to get caught in the trap of comparison. You see others gaining followers, hitting viral successes, or landing brand deals while you are still grinding in the background. The temptation to measure your progress against someone else's highlights can be overwhelming. But here's the truth. Your creative journey won't look like anyone else. And that's exactly how it's meant to be. Your growth has its own timeline. Think about it. Some creators blow up overnight, while others build slowly over years. Some find their niche instantly, while others find their style through trial and error. Your timing isn't off, it's just different. Mr. Beast posted videos for years before seeing massive success. MKPHD started filming tech reviews as a teenager before becoming an industry leader. Your favorite content creators likely had seasons of doubt, slow growth, and obstacles before hitting their breakthrough. If you measure your progress by someone else's clock, you will miss what is working in your own journey. Use what's in your hands right now. When David fought Goliath, he didn't have a sword or armor, just a sling and 5 small stones. It wasn't what people expected, but it was exactly what he needed. As a creator, what do you have right now that you are overlooking? Maybe you don't have the best camera, but you have a phone. So start filming. Maybe you don't have expensive software, but you have free tools to start editing. Maybe you don't have a massive audience, but you have a valuable insight. So start sharing. Consistency with what you have now leads to growth later. If you focus on what's missing, you will never fully utilize what's in front of you. Your breakthrough will come, but only if you keep creating. Every successful creator has faced setbacks, slow seasons, and moments of doubt. The difference, they kept going. The skills you refine now will be your competitive edge later. The content you create today is shaping the audience you will impact tomorrow. The lessons you are learning in this season will be the foundation of your long-term success. Focus on creating content, not comparing. Instead of watching other creators and feeling behind, drop one skill, format, or idea you can develop right now. Then commit to taking action on it this week. Success doesn't come from waiting, it comes from creating. Your time will come, but only if you keep showing up. The wilderness before the crown. After defeating Goliath, David became famous. People sang his praises. It seemed like his moment had arrived. But instead of stepping into the throne, he was forced to run. King Saul, threatened by David's success, chased him into the wilderness. Years passed. David had been anointed. He had proven himself, but he was still waiting, still wondering when the promise would come through, wondering if your time would ever come. Maybe you had a small win, a video that got traction, a post that went viral, but then everything slowed down again. Maybe you feel like you are in a circle of almost success, but never quitting, never quite making it. David had a chance to kill Saul and take the throne by force, but he refused. He wouldn't rush what God had planned. And when the time was right, he stepped into his calling. Not through manipulation, not through shortcuts, but through trust. Don't force growth. It's tempting to chase trends, to take shortcuts, to try to speed up success. But what's built on faithfulness lasts longer than what's built on force. Keep creating, keep learning, keep trusting that when it's time, no one can stop what God has planned for you. The success is in the waiting. So what does this mean for you as a creator? It means that waiting isn't wasted time, it's preparation time. If you feel like nothing is happening, use this season to refine your craft. Refine your skills, the skills you are growing even if numbers aren't. If you feel like everyone else is succeeding faster, remember that your journey is unique. Stay focused on what is in your hands. If you feel like you will never reach your goals, trust that God's timing is better than your own. When the moment is right, success will come. It will come in a way you never imagined. David didn't force his way to the throne. He trusted the process, and so should you. So keep creating, keep believing, keep waiting on God's timing. Because when He moves, nothing can stand. So until I come your way again, keep trusting. Grab that phone of yours, grab the camera, go out there and create something awesome today. I challenge Christian creators to defeat fear in 15 days. No strategy, no perfection, just bold to obedience. If you have been too scared to post, this video is your battlefield. What is your Goliath? Fear is a silent giant that stands between you and your purpose. It looms over you, whispering doubt, planting insecurities, and convincing you that you are not ready, not talented enough, or not worthy of success. Every content creator at some point faces this battle. And yet, the ones who break through are not necessarily the most skilled or the most prepared. They are the ones who show up despite the fear. The story of David is not just a tale of defeating a physical giant. It is a story of someone who refused to be defined by fear. Before David was a king, before he was a warrior, he was a shepherd, a young boy dismissed and overlooked by those closest to him. And yet, when his moment came, he stepped onto the battlefield whilst others hesitated. Every creator has a Goliath, a fear that stands in the way of their breakthrough. For some, it's the fear of judgment, worrying about what others will think. For others, it's a fear of failure, the idea that they might try and not succeed. And for many, it's the fear of not being ready, feeling unqualified, and waiting for the perfect moment that never comes. The truth is, fear only wins if you let it keep you from moving forward. The fear of judgment. What will people think? For many creators, the biggest obstacle is not technical skills, or lack of ideas. It's the fear of what others will say. You hesitate to share your work because of the small voice in your head that says, what if people laugh at you? What if they criticize me? What if I make a mistake? David faced the same fear. Before he even reached Goliath, he had to deal with the voices of doubt, not from strangers, but from his own family. Why have you come down here? I know how conceited you are and how wicked your heart is. If David had let his brother's words stop him, he never would have stepped onto the battlefield. And the same applies to you. There will always be critics, skeptics, and voices telling you that you are not good enough. But your calling is not dependent on their approval. David didn't argue with his brother. He simply turned away and focused on the real battle. That's exactly what you need to do. Now tell me, what's the one piece of content you have been afraid to share because of fear of judgment? Make the commitment to post it this week. What if I try and it doesn't work? It's the second giant that stops most creators. You keep telling yourself, what if I put in effort and nothing happens? What if I create and no one cares? But let's look at David again. When he stepped onto the battlefield, he wasn't carrying a sword. He didn't have armor. He had a sling and 5 small stones. 5 small stones to the world that looked foolish. But David had something others didn't. Faith in what he had been trained with. He fought lions and bears when no one was watching. He mastered his craft in the quiet fields. His confidence wasn't in his weapon. It was in his preparation. And the same is true for you. Every time you create, even if no one sees it, you are sharpening your skills. Every post, every video, every project is training for the moment that matters. Failure is not final, it's feedback. If something doesn't work, you learn, adjust, and try again. But if you let fear stop you, you will never know what you are capable of. So, think of one thing you have been afraid to try because of fear of failure. Take action on it this week. We battle with not being ready, not qualified enough. This is the final giant I would like us to talk about. That stops creators to believe that they are not ready. You tell yourself, I will start when I have better equipment. I will launch when I have more skills. I will speak when I feel more confident. But here is the truth. You will never feel fully ready. David wasn't a warrior when he stepped onto the battlefield. He was a shepherd. He didn't wait until he had the perfect armor or the best training. He showed up with what he had, and God did the rest. Too many people delay their dreams waiting for the perfect conditions. But if you wait until you feel ready, you will be waiting forever. Your growth happens in the doing, not the waiting. And here is the best part. God doesn't call the qualified. Remember, He qualifies the called. So what's that something you have been waiting to start because you feel unqualified? Make the decision to start today. Even if it's messy, fear only wins if you don't show up. David didn't win because he was the strongest. He didn't win because he had the best strategy. He won because he stepped onto the battlefield while everyone else stood in fear. And now it's your turn. Is your Goliath the fear of judgment? Is your Goliath the fear of failure? Is your Goliath the fear of not being ready? Whatever it is, it's time to take the first step. Fear only has power if you let it keep you from moving. The moment you take action, the giant begins to fall. What is that one action you will take today to move forward despite fear? Drop it in the comment section and commit to slaying your giant. If this message encouraged you, smash the like button, subscribe for more faith-driven content, and share with someone who needs to hear it today. Until I come your way again, why not grab your phone, grab your camera, and go out there and create something awesome today.
Just me and you. If one heart turns, that's breakthrough.
There comes a moment in every creator's journey where fear grips the heart. You have felt the calling, knowing that you are meant to build something. create something, step into something greater than yourself. But every time you try to move forward, something stops you. It's that whisper in the back of your mind. What if I fail? What if I am not good enough? What if no one cares about what I am going to say? Welcome to our channel once again. Today we're going to talk about overcoming fear and doubt. There comes a moment in every creator's journey where fear grips the heart. You have felt the calling, knowing that you are meant to build something, create something, step into something greater than yourself. But every time you try to move forward, something stops you. It's that whisper in the back of your mind. What if I fail? What if I am not good enough? What if no one cares about what I am going to say? You stand before the opportunity, much like David stood before Goliath. The battlefield is in front of you, and yet there's a giant in the way. Fear, self-doubt, and comparison loom over you, making your calling feel impossible to reach. You know you are meant to lead, to create, to bring value to the world, yet every step forward feels like a battle against the voices telling you you are not ready, you are not qualified, you don't belong here. David knew what that felt like. He was just a shepherd boy, overlooked, underestimated, and seemingly unqualified. No military training, no experience, no reason to believe he could succeed, at least not in the eyes of the world. But when the time came to step forward, he didn't hesitate. Not because he was the strongest, the smartest, or most experienced, but because he refused to let fear keep him from his calling. And now it's your turn. The fear of failure. The biggest giant that stops most creators isn't a lack of skill, money, opportunity. It's the fear of failing. What if you put in the effort and it doesn't work? What if people mock you? What if you pour everything into your work and it's met with silence? Failure feels like the worst possible outcome, so most people don't even try. They stay in their comfort zone, watching from the sidelines, never stepping into the arena because the risk seems too great. But here is the truth. Failure is not the enemy, fear is. David understood something that many of us forget. The battle is won before you even step onto the battlefield. He didn't wait until he saw Goliath fall to believe he could win. He stepped forward with confidence because he knew that the same God who had delivered him before will do it again. And that's what you need to remember today. The fact that fear shows up means you are stepping into something bigger than yourself. You are growing, you are expanding, you are moving toward the thing God has called you to do. But if you let fear dictate your choices, you will never see the victory that is waiting for you on the other side. If David had backed down, he never would have stepped into his calling as king. His defining moments would have passed him by, all because of fear. The same applies to you. Your breakthrough, your impact, your success is on the other side of fear. What's that one thing you have been afraid to start because you are scared of failing? Drop it in the comment section. Or maybe today is a day for you to face it head on. The comparison trap. Maybe fear isn't your biggest struggle. Maybe it's comparison. You look around and see others doing exactly what you want to do, but they seem miles ahead of you. Their content is better. Their audience is bigger. Their success seems effortless, and you start to wonder, why should I even bother? David could have fallen into this trap too. When he arrived at the battlefield, he saw an entire army of trained warriors, men stronger, faster, and more experienced than he was. If he had measured himself against them, he would have never stepped forward. But here's the secret. David didn't win because he fought like everyone else. He won because he fought like himself. Saul tried to give David his armor, but David refused. He didn't need to fight with someone else's weapons. He used what was already in his hands, the sling and the stones he had trained with in the hidden places. And you don't need to fight with someone else's tools either. Comparison will rob you of your confidence. It will rob you. It will make you believe that someone else's journey is a standard you have to measure up to. But that's not how God works. The thing that makes you different is the thing that will make you successful. Your voice, your style, your story. That is what God has given you to use. The world doesn't need another version of someone else. It needs you. So my dear, what's that one thing you have been holding back because you feel like others are doing it better? Drop it in the comment section. And today, commit to showing up as yourself. Another thing we would like to look at is self-doubt. Am I really called to this? Maybe it's not fear of failure. Maybe it's not even comparison. Maybe your greatest struggle is this. Am I really called to this? David's own family didn't believe in him. Remember, when he arrived at the battlefield, his older brother Eliab mocked him, saying, "Why have you come down here? And with whom did you leave those few sheep in the wilderness?" He was doubted because he even had a chance to prove himself. And yet, he didn't let words define him. He knew who he was. He knew what God had already done in his life. And he knew that the same God who had delivered him would do it again. If you're struggling with doubt today, remember this. God does not call the qualified. He qualifies the called. You might feel unprepared. You might feel too small for the task ahead. But God has already placed inside of you everything you need to succeed. You just have to step forward in faith. Your doubts are lying to you. The enemy will love nothing more than for you to sit in uncertainty, questioning your purpose while your calling waits untouched. But what if you stopped doubting and started believing? What if you stepped forward, not because you feel ready, but because God is with you? Think about how far you have already come. What are the battles you have already won? The skills you have already developed. Write them down and remind yourself you are more prepared than you think. The victory is already yours. You know what? David didn't step onto the battlefield hoping he could win. He stepped forward knowing he would, not because of his strength, but because of God's. And today, you have the same choice. Fear will tell you to stay where you are. Comparison will tell you you are not good enough. Self-doubt will tell you that you are not called. But God is calling you forward. The giant in front of you is not bigger than the God inside of you. The only thing standing between you and your breakthrough is the decision to move forward despite the fear. So step forward, create, build, write, lead. Not because you feel ready, but because God is with you. What's one action you will take today to move forward despite fear? Drop it in the comment section and commit to slaying your giants. If this message spoke to you, hit that like button, subscribe for more faith-driven encouragement, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. My dear, until I come your way again, why not grab the camera, grab your phone, and go out there and create something awesome today. I posted content I prayed over and no one showed up. 12 views, 1 like, a heart full of doubt. But what if rejection isn't a sign to quit? It's a setup for your calling. When you create content and it doesn't get the views you expect, yet it kept going, how do you stay encouraged when your work goes unnoticed? That is what we are going to look at. When your content doesn't get views you expect. We'll pick a lesson from King David. No, it starts with a vision. You step into a battlefield of content creation, armed with passion and a dream. You spend hours crafting your video, your blog, your art, pouring your heart into every detail. And then the moment of truth, you post it. You wait and wait and wait. But instead of celebration, you hear silence. Instead of praise, you see numbers so small, they make you doubt yourself. You wonder, did I miss my calling? Did I mishear God? Am I even supposed to be doing this? This is a moment of rejection. And if you have ever felt this way, you are not alone. Even the greatest leaders in history, like in David, walked this path long before you. No, David's anointing and the waiting season. Imagine this, a young shepherd boy out in the fields, unnoticed and unimportant. But one day, the prophet Samuel arrives at his home, looks beyond all his older, stronger brothers, and pours oil over his head. David is anointed as the future king of Israel. It should have been his moment of glory, but nothing changes. Instead of sitting on the throne, David goes back to the field. He doesn't become king overnight. He doesn't even get recognized by his own family. He is still just a shepherd boy. Have you ever felt like that? Like, you are meant for more, but no one seems to notice. Maybe you have posted content that you believed in, only for it to go unnoticed. Maybe you have worked tirelessly, but the results just aren't there. But look at David. Instead of complaining, instead of demanding recognition, he kept tending his sheep. He used that season to develop the skills he would one day need, learning to fight lions and bears, playing his harp in solitude, strengthening his heart in worship. And that's what you must do too. Instead of seeing low views as failure, see them as preparation. This is your training ground. Keep refining your craft. Keep showing up, because when the moment comes, when opportunity knocks, you will be ready. David's first taste of recognition comes in the most unexpected way, not as a king, but as a servant. He is called to play music for King Saul, soothing his troubled spirit. Even though David has been anointed as future king, he humbles himself to serve. And when the time for battle comes, when Goliath stands against Israel, David is still just the boy bringing food to his brother. Imagine that. He has the anointing, he has the skill, but people still see him as insignificant. Maybe you have poured effort into your content, but people don't take you seriously. Maybe you've got ideas that could change lives, but no one listens. But what does David do? He doesn't let their doubt stop him. He steps onto the battlefield, and with just a sling and 5 smooth stones, he takes down a giant. If your content isn't getting the recognition you hope for, don't let it discourage you. Instead, let it be your fuel. Keep sharpening your skills. Keep showing up. And when the right moment comes, you will be ready to strike. You will find yourself in the wilderness of rejection. That's David's biggest test of rejection. Though wasn't being overlooked as a shepherd, it wasn't even being underestimated in the battle. It was being chased out of his calling. After his victory over Goliath, David gains fame. People sing his praises. But instead of being celebrated, King Saul becomes jealous. David, the hero of Israel, is suddenly a fugitive, running for his life. He hides in caves. He sleeps in the wilderness. He goes from being the anointed one to being a man with nothing. And yet, even in rejection, David keeps trusting God. He refuses to take shortcuts to the throne. He doesn't force his way into power. Instead, he waits for God's perfect time. Feeling like success is slipping away? Maybe you have had a small win, one video that did well, one moment of success, but then things went silent again. Maybe you feel like you are losing the progress you worked so hard for. But if David's story teaches us anything, it's that rejection is not the end. It is a beginning that prepares us for your calling. David's time in the wilderness made him a leader who relied on God. And when the right time came, he stepped into his destiny, not just as a king, but as a man after God's own heart. Your calling is bigger than your rejection. So what does it mean for you as a content creator? It's simple. Rejection isn't proof that you are failing. It's proof that you are growing. If you feel overlooked, keep working in the field. Your time of anointing will come. If you feel underestimated, don't wait for approval. Step onto the battlefield and prove yourself. If you feel like success is slipping away, don't force it. Trust God's timing and keep creating with faith. David's story didn't end in the wilderness, and neither does yours. So when your content doesn't get the views you expected, when the numbers disappoint, when the world seems silent, don't give up. Because just like David, your calling is greater than rejection. And when the time is right, you will step into everything God has prepared for you. Keep creating, keep believing, keep serving. Your moment is coming. Until I come your way again, grab your phone, grab your camera. These are the most important tools you need to create content. Why not go out there today and create something awesome? Imagine this. You finally take a step toward a dream burning inside you. You start creating, building, stepping out in faith, only to be met with silence, skepticism, or even outright criticism. The people closest to you, the ones you thought would support your vision, dismiss it. Instead of encouragement, you hear words of doubt. That's unrealistic. Who do you think you are? You don't have what it takes. The stink of their words makes you question everything. Did I mishear God? Am I really called to do this? Or should I just quit? We are not alone. David faced the same thing. He was just a teenager when the prophet Samuel anointed him as a future king of Israel. But instead of stepping into the throne, he was sent back to the fields to tend sheep. No crown, no immediate glory, just a promise and a season of waiting. Then came the moment that should have changed everything, when Israel was at war, and a giant named Goliath terrorized the army. David's father sent him to deliver food to his brothers on the battlefield. Hey, what happened? But when David saw the giant mocking God's people, something stirred in him. He knew he was called to do more than just delivering bread. He saw the opportunity to step into his destiny. But before he even got to the battlefield, the criticism came. His own brother, Eliab, turned on him. Why have you come down here? And with whom did you leave those few sheep in the wilderness? I know how conceited you are and how wicked your heart. You came down only to watch the battle. 1 Samuel 17:28. Think about that. David's own family questioned his motive. His own brother dismissed him, mocked his position, and belittled his calling. Sound familiar? Maybe the voices in your life aren't coming from an older brother, but from friends, co-workers, or even your own inner doubt whispering, you are just a small creator. You are not talented enough. You are wasting your time. But here's what makes David different. He didn't let criticism define him. He didn't argue, explain, or try to prove himself. He simply turned away from Eliab and stepped toward the real battle. That's the secret. You don't fight critics. You fight for your calling. We sometimes create without support. One of the hardest things about being a content creator is realizing that the people closest to you might not see what God has placed inside you. You post your first videos, write your first blogs, or launch your brand, and instead of encouragement, you get indifferent. No one shares. No shares, no likes. No message saying, wow, this is great. It's heartbreaking because you expected more support. But look at David. He didn't need his brother's approval to defeat Goliath. And you don't need everyone's approval to do what God has called you to do. That's the most important. Most people won't see the value of what you are building until it starts bearing visible fruits. That's the truth. That's why faithfulness in small beginnings is so crucial. God sees your quiet obedience in creating content that no one acknowledges yet. He sees your consistency when the numbers are low. He sees you in the hidden place. Keep creating, keep posting, keep refining your craft, because when God opens the right doors, no critic, no algorithm, and no lack of support can stop the impact He has planned for you. Stop waiting for validation. If God has given you the vision, start moving forward, even if no one else sees it. Drop a comment below. What is one step you will take today, despite the lack of support? Never fully step into their calling because they are afraid of what others will say. They fear judgment. The fear of judgment is so real. What if people criticize my work? What if they mock me? Or what if I fail publicly? But here's the truth. Every great leader, creator, and visionary in history has faced criticism. Even Jesus himself was rejected by the very people he came to save. David teaches us a powerful lesson. The battle isn't with the critics. If David had wasted his time arguing with Eliab, he never would have fought Goliath. You know that. The enemy uses distraction to keep you from your destiny. The moment you stop creating, stop building, or stop stepping forward because of what people might say, the enemy wins. That's the truth. Every piece of content you hesitate to post because of fear is one less person impacted. Every idea you abandon because of criticism is one less opportunity for God to work through you. So decide today that you will not let fear of criticism stop you. Silence the noise, focus on a mission, and move forward in faith. If fear of criticism has ever held you back, comment below. What's one creative idea or project you have been scared to release? Today is a day to take action. Are you feeling discouraged by slow growth? Sometimes the loudest critic isn't external, it's internal. Maybe no one has even said anything, but your own mind is filled with doubt. You start comparing yourself to others. Their content is better. They are more talented. I'll never be as good as them. Hey, my friend, it's easy to look at people further along and feel inadequate. But David could have looked at the experienced warriors around him and thought, I'm just a shepherd. I don't belong here. Instead, he remembered his training in obscurity. He remembered the lions and bears he fought. He remembered that God had been preparing him long before his moment. And God has been preparing you too. Every unseen effort, every late night, every quiet moment of faithfulness, it all matters. Just because your impact isn't visible yet doesn't mean God isn't building something powerful. You may feel hidden now, but hidden seasons are seasons of preparation. God never wastes faithfulness. What you are doing now, even if no one sees it, is equipping you for what's ahead. If David had ignored his training in the field, he wouldn't have been ready to fight Goliath. Remember, what feels like a waiting season is actually a preparation season. Don't despise small beginnings. Don't discount the work you are doing just because the results aren't immediate. The audience, the opportunities, the impact, it will come in God's perfect time. Think about how far you have already come. Instead of focusing on numbers or recognition, reflect on how much your skills have improved, how much clearer your message is, and how much courage you have gained. Comment below. What's one thing you have grown in since you started your creative journey? Keep creating, keep trusting, keep building. David didn't wait for permission. He didn't wait for approval. He didn't let criticism stop him. He stepped forward in faith. And because of that, he took down a giant, changed a nation, and stepped into his calling. Your calling might not look like David's, but God has placed something inside of you that the world needs. Not everyone will understand it. Not everyone will support it. Not everyone will believe in it. But you know what? If God called you to it, no one can take it away. So step forward, create, speak, build, write, lead, even if you feel small, even if others doubt you. Because giants fall when ordinary people trust an extraordinary God. What was the one thing you will do today to step forward in faith despite the critics? Drop it in the comment section below. Let's encourage each other on this journey. If this message spoke to you, smash the like button, subscribe for more faith-driven encouragement, and share with someone who needs it. Imagine being called to something great, feeling deep in your soul that you are meant for more. Yet every door seems closed and every opportunity feels just out of reach. You know God has given you a vision, a talent, or a dream. But instead of stepping into your calling, you find yourself stuck in a season of waiting. No recognition, no major breakthroughs, just a quiet, unseen place where faithfulness is your only option. David understood this feeling. Before he was a mighty king, before he was a victorious warrior, before he was a man after God's own heart, he was a shepherd in the wilderness. He was anointed by the prophet Samuel in front of his family, promised a throne, but then sent back to the fields to tend sheep. Imagine knowing that you were chosen to be a king, but still being asked to do ordinary, unglamorous work. It must have felt frustrating. It must have felt confusing. But what David did in that wilderness season determined the kind of king he would become. Many of us want the promotion, the audience, the influence, and the success. But are we willing to be faithful in the small things first? Because before God gives you the kingdom, He watches how you handle the field. Are you feeling overlooked and unappreciated? One of the hardest struggles in a season of obscurity is feeling like no one sees your effort. You work hard, you create, you remain consistent, yet it feels like nothing is moving forward. You look at others who seem to be progressing faster, and you wonder if you are being left behind. Question if your work even matters. But here is the truth. The wilderness is not punishment. It's preparation. When David was alone in the field, he wasn't just tending sheep. He was developing the skills he would need for his future. The same sling he used to protect his flock from lions and bears was the same weapon he used to bring down Goliath. The leadership he practiced over sheep prepared him to lead a nation. What you are doing now, even if it feels small, is shaping you for what is coming. The hours of practice, the late nights, the unnoticed consistency, it all matters. Just because the world hasn't recognized you yet doesn't mean God hasn't seen you. You know what? Instead of focusing on who is watching, focus on what you are building. Ask yourself, how is this season shaping me? What small thing can I do today with excellence? Drop it in the comment section. One thing you would commit to doing faithfully, even if no one sees it. Wanting to skip the process. No, the biggest mistake we can make is rushing to the throne before we are ready. Imagine if David had refused to return to the fields after being anointed. What if he had demanded immediate recognition? He would have failed because his character wasn't yet strong enough for the weight of his calling. Too many people want the influence without the process. They want the results without the refinement. But God is more concerned with who you are becoming than how fast you get there. David's time in the wilderness wasn't wasted. It was necessary. He learned how to worship in solitude. He learned how to trust God in obscurity. He learned how to fight battles when no one was cheering him on. If he hadn't learned those lessons in private, he wouldn't have been prepared for the pressure of leadership in public. If you have been frustrated by slow progress, shift your mindset. Instead of asking, why is this taking so long? Ask, what is God teaching me right now? Comment below, what is the one lesson this season is teaching you? The truth is, how you handle small responsibilities reveals how you will handle greater ones. Simple. If you are inconsistent when no one is watching, you won't suddenly become disciplined when opportunity comes. If you cut corners in the little things, you won't have the integrity to manage something bigger. You see, David was faithful in the field before he was ever famous on the battlefield. When no one was watching, he still showed up. He still played his harp, wrote his psalms, and defended his sheep. He didn't slack just because the task felt insignificant. And because he was faithful in the little things, God knew he could be trusted with much. And our Lord Jesus Christ, Savior, reinforced the same principle when he said, whoever can be trusted with very little can also be trusted with much. Luke 16:10. What's one small thing you have been neglecting that you can start doing with excellence today? Maybe it's posting consistently, refining your craft, or spending more time in prayer. Do it. Drop it in the comment section. Will you be ready when the time comes? It's a question. David's story proves that, God has not overlooked faithfulness. One day, everything changed. David woke up thinking it was just another ordinary day in the fields. But before the sunset, he was standing in front of a giant with the eyes of a nation on him. He didn't have time to prepare. He had to rely on the preparation that already happened in the wilderness. You see, the same is true for creators. When your moment comes, when the opportunity arrives, when the platform grows, when the doors open, you won't have time to become ready. You will either already be ready or you'll miss it. So don't despise the small things. Don't rush the process. Don't quit because you feel unseen. God is watching your faithfulness in this season. And when the time is right, He will elevate you. Not because you forced your way in, but because you were prepared for it. What's the one thing you will do today to be faithful in your current season? Drop it in the comment section. Share this message with someone who needs encouragement. And remember, before the throne comes, the wilderness. And before the wilderness ends, faithfulness is required. Until I come your way again, why not grab your phone, grab a camera, grab whatever sling you have in your hands. Go out there and create something awesome today. You have been called, but the crown hasn't come yet. You are faithful, you are working, but the doors still feel closed. David was anointed king and still waited for years. This is how you stay consistent when God says not yet. David was anointed, but had to wait. Growth takes time. Anointed, but not yet appointed. David was chosen as king, but had to wait years. Learn why success doesn't happen overnight. The frustration of waiting. You are called to something greater. You have been working hard, putting in the effort, and staying faithful, but the results still seem far away. Maybe you're wondering, why am I not seeing success yet? Why do others seem to rise faster? Did I miss my moment? But here is the truth. Being chosen doesn't mean immediate promotion. David was anointed as king, but he didn't step into the throne right away. Instead, he went through years of waiting, preparation, and struggle. He was called, but not yet crowned. If you feel like you are stuck in a waiting phase, you are not being overlooked, you are being developed. And just like David, you have to stay resilient and consistent to step into your destiny. Let's break down the 3 critical lessons from David's journey, each reinforced by real-life stories that prove why success takes time and why perseverance is a key to unlocking resources. 1. Preparation comes before promotion. Imagine being told today that you are destined to lead, influence, and change lives. That's exciting, right? But here is a catch. You are not ready yet. David was anointed king as a teenager, but instead of immediate ruling, he was sent back to the sheep. At first glance, it seems frustrating. Why back into the field? David was anointed as king as a teenager, but instead of immediately ruling, he went back to tending sheep. This seems frustrating. Why go back to the fields when you have just been promised a kingdom? But what seemed like a delay was actually a training ground. In the fields, David learned discipline, patience, and leadership. He fought lions and bears in secret before facing Goliath in public. He grew in skill, courage, and trust in God when no one was watching. Let's look at Oprah Winfrey's rejection. Before Oprah became a media mogul, she was fired from her first television job. Her producer told her she wasn't fit for TV. Can you imagine if she had given up at that moment? Instead of quitting, she went back to the fields, refining her craft behind the scenes. She spent years working on her storytelling and interviewing skills. That unseen preparation led to the opportunity that changed everything. The Oprah Winfrey Show. Just because your moment hasn't arrived yet doesn't mean you are not on the right path. Every moment of preparation is building you for what's coming. What skill or discipline can you improve right now while waiting for your breakthrough? Drop it in the comment section below. Lesson number 2, the power of serving while waiting. David wasn't just waiting, he was working. Even after being anointed, he didn't demand the throne. Instead, he played the harp for King Saul, served in the army, and remained faithful in small tasks. He didn't see service as a delay, he saw it as development. While Saul was still on the throne, David had every reason to be frustrated. He could have thought, why am I serving the person I'm supposed to replace? But instead of fighting for the crown prematurely, he focused on serving faithfully where he was. Let's look at Tyler Perry Empty Theater. You remember Tyler Perry, now a billionaire filmmaker. He spent years writing plays that no one attended. He once saved up money to put up a major production, only to have 30 people show up in a 1,200-seater theater. He could have quit. Instead, he kept serving. He continued creating, writing, and refining his craft until one of his plays finally caught fire. That success led to film deals, studios, and a multi-million-dollar empire. You might not have the audience or recognition you want yet, but your service and consistency are shaping you for when your moment arrives. What's one area where you can serve right now, even if the audience is small? Comment below. Lesson number 3. The throne comes in God's timing, not yours. David had multiple chances to take the throne early, but he refused. When King Saul became unstable, David had opportunities to kill him and seize power. His men even encouraged him to do it, but David said, I will not lay my hand on my master because he is the Lord's anointed. David understood that just because you have an opportunity doesn't mean it's the right time. He trusted God's timing over his own ambition. Let's look at Steve Jobs' comeback. In 1985, Steve Jobs was fired from Apple, the very company he founded. Many would have tried to force their way back. But instead of fighting for control, Jobs spent years in the wilderness, founding Next and Pixar. By the time Apple brought him back in 1997, he was stronger, wiser, and more prepared to lead under his second leadership. Apple became the world's most valuable company. If you wait on the right timing, you will not only step into your calling, you will be ready to handle it. What's one thing you have been tempted to rush? How can you surrender that timing to God? Your crown is coming. Stay resilient and consistent. David's journey teaches us that success is never instant. Preparation comes before promotion. Keep sharpening your skills. Serve while you wait. Stay faithful, even in obscurity. God's timing is perfect. Trust the process, not the shortcut. If you feel overlooked right now, remember this: you are not forgotten. Your work, your faithfulness, and your effort are all building you into the person who can handle what's coming next. What's that one thing you will commit to doing consistently this week, even if no one notices? Drop it in the comment section below. And if this message encouraged you, smash the like button, subscribe for more inspiration, and share it with someone who needs to hear it today. Until I come your way again, why not grab your camera, grab your phone, and go out there and create something awesome today.